What's up, everyone? This is Best Bets with Ryan. Welcome back for another video. NFL Week 7 just wrapped up. Going to be discussing some of our bets and also just some recaps of the games, some analysis regarding some of the games, the play calling, decision making, game management, that sort of thing. First off, we did have a solid day on Thursday with our bets. During the Saints game, we had Juwan Johnson, the tight end, at anytime touchdown at plus 440. Cashed that. Cashed the last touchdown score. Johnson last touchdown score at 20-1, and we also had Johnson over 26.5 receiving yards. Cashed all of those as Cardinals were pretty weak against tight ends. So that was a really solid day. Also had Tony Pollard over 36.5 rush yards. So cashed that. He had about 80. I think he slammed the over. So that was solid. Baseball, the Padres lost. We had them at 30-1 to win it all. So sad to see that happen. Our Yankees also lost, so they are out. So don't really know who to root for. I think I also have the Astros minus 160 to win it all also. All right, so into some of these games from Sunday. Our Giants 6-1 again. Let's go. Just pulling out victories just against these teams that are just kind of like average to maybe above average. They're not really playing the greatest of teams, but they're also not playing the worst of teams. Next week, they do have the Seahawks on the road. And again, they're underdogs again for, I think the fourth straight week possibly. They've just been underdogs every time, and they've just been pulling out victories. So, but, they are going to need like some receivers. They are going to need to sign someone because like they're just not going to be able to get this done. I don't think when they play a really good team like the Eagles, if they go and play the Eagles, I just don't think they're going to pull that out with who they have right now unless some of these guys come back. But if they can if they can sign a receiver like a DJ Moore, Beckham, somebody, Claypool, like any of these guys, I think they would definitely need that to make the next step because they're just kind of hanging on. And I think, they're getting by, and for once they're not beating themselves like I'm used to. So just a quick recap of that game, though. The one thing that, I did notice that I didn't really see a lot of people talking about, but, Saquon, again, playing very well, especially in the fourth quarter and, like, being able to, like, kind of, like, extend these drives, pick up first downs. But the one thing that he did that I was really kind of just pissed off about and, like, was that he carried the ball and then ran out of bounds. I think towards the end of the end of the fourth quarter, as they were moving the ball, and I saw him like kind of shake his head. I think he knew it was a boneheaded play. But the very next time that he got the ball, he did it again. He kind of flirted with the out of bounds. He ended up like trying to stay in bounds, or I think trying to give himself up, as some people were saying. But he ended up like his leg ended up slipping and running out of bounds. They ended up like reversing the call and adding time onto the clock because I saw it too. I'm like, it looked like he kind of went out of bounds there. So 2 times in a row he did that, and really the only chance the Jaguars had to win that game was if the Giants like stopped the clock. Like you just have to stay in bounds there. Like that's unacceptable. You have to run the clock. You can't even toy with the out of bounds unless you're picking up the first down. Like if you're rushing, like to kind of dive for the first down, like you can't flirt with going out of bounds and stopping the clock because essentially the game's like practically in the bag. And he did it twice, and then they added up. Another like there's a minute or so left in the clock, and the Jaguars almost pulled that out. They got stopped at the 1 yard line after that pass. So I think that one would have been on Saquon if he had a good game, but like that's just unacceptable. So we'll see. We'll see what happens next week. Moving into Seattle, that's gonna be a tough game. And Seattle just pretty much beat up on the Chargers. Our Chargers, who we liked to go far this year. So that'll be a tough game in Seattle. What else? How about so real quick on the Dolphins game. I was watching the Dolphins against the Steelers. This was a Sunday night game. So the one play that kind of stood out was Dolphins had the ball. They're driving. They're up 16-10. I think it was third quarter, maybe early fourth. I think it was late third quarter. So 4th and 3 on their own, like what was it, 10-yard line, 8-yard line, something like that. They ended up going for it instead of kicking the field goal to go up 9. And I'm like thinking here, like, I just don't get the point of going for that, you know. And then when people talk about analytics and, you know, all that stuff, that's all I ever hear. And by the way, there is like a Twitter account that shows like some sort of, it's like, I don't know if it's a bot or what, but it shows like the analytics on whether or not you should go for it or not, and like the percentage you know, the time you'd make it and how much that helps you and things like that. But what it doesn't take into account, I think, is that, like, you know, it's a chip shot field goal. You go from a 1-score to a 2-score game. You're playing a crappier team, which you're already favored against, and you can go up 9. Like, and there's no, like, I don't think that the Steelers, like, are gonna score enough points again, like, to even, if you just take the 9, I don't think they're even gonna score another 10 points, or it's gonna be tough for them to do that. And, you know, it's not like you're playing, not like your underdogs playing against the Chiefs where you have to gamble, and it's just not a spot you have to gamble. Like, you're ahead, you don't need to do that. And it's not like you're on the 35-yard line where it's like a long field goal and it's 4th and 3, and, you know, there's obviously less space for the receivers to, you know, run. It's harder to pick up that first down when you're that close, and there's less, you know, space for the receivers rather than if you're on the 35-yard line and, you know, there's a little bit more space to maneuver. And then they also just ran the ball and then they got stopped. Then that almost cost them because the Steelers were driving at the end, and they just needed a touchdown to win the game with the extra point. So they ended up getting saved by that. But that was just like an awful decision in my opinion to end up going for it. And even if they got it, I would have said that was an awful decision. I think they should have just kicked the field goal to go up 9. There's no point to gamble there. Another game we watched was the Niners-Chiefs. We were excited for that. We actually took the Niners money line. Again, not a good choice, I guess, to bet against Mahomes 2 weeks in a row. Last week we bet the Bills, and they won. So, and then I went with the Niners plus money. It was plus 120 at home. Solid defense. They picked up McCaffrey. He ended up playing. So I thought the Niners could have pulled it out. I still think the Niners are a contender to make a run, but, you know, Garoppolo is kind of like hit or miss. You know, I think, what was it? Real quick in that game, first half, it was 3rd down. They had the ball on the 10-yard line, I think it was, and Chiefs didn't have any timeouts. There was like a minute and a half, 2 minutes left, and I really thought they should have ran the ball instead of throwing it. I think they could have still got the first down by running it, but also they could have ran the clock out, kicked the field goal, rather than giving the ball back to Mahomes. But instead, they threw it, and Garoppolo throws a pick. And if anything, just throw the ball away. I don't understand that. Like, it's just, you give the ball back to the Chiefs, the 2-minute drill. I think you just got to run the ball there, and they ended up just getting crushed at the end. It didn't really matter, but I think that kind of just, that could have turned the game around. Who knows? So Chiefs obviously look solid, but, you know, the Chiefs, they barely beat the Chargers, barely beat the Raiders. Like, they've had close games. Like, they're just kind of like, you know, they're streaky themselves, but they look solid. And then the last game we watched the Bears Patriots that just wrapped up Monday night, and Patriots just got crushed. We did take, so in the second half we live bet Justin Fields under 102.5, and then we also took it again under 109.5 rushing yards. He had 71 rushing yards in the first half, and I'm thinking, okay, Belichick's gonna, you know, really just, I think, spy him in the second half. And then he ended up only having 13 yards in the second half, so we won both of those bets, which, you know, he did. He didn't scramble, but, you know, with game flow, he didn't really have to also. But, like, I just thought, like, the Patriots and Belichick would, you know, kind of spy on him to begin with, like, throughout the whole game, because, like, Fields is not a good passer, and his strength is, like, more rushing and obviously not throwing the ball. I mean, throughout the year, there's been receivers that have had more receiving yards than Fields has had passing yards. So I don't know why they really, like, just let him run all over the place. Like, that's the only chance I feel like that they had to win that game, or maybe not. I mean, obviously Jones was hurt, and then Zappy came back in, and he looked rusty at first, and it just didn't go their way. But, like, I feel like the only way for the Bears to get in the rhythm is to have just Fields kind of run all over the place. He had 71 rushing yards, like, and usually, you know, Belichick takes away your strength, so you would think you would kind of spy him and make him throw the ball, but, you know, he didn't, and he ended up getting crushed. So that was really it for, like, our bets. We did have a couple, you know, the FanDuel boosts. We post our FanDuel boosts, which the plus EV one, so the good FanDuel boost, we'll post on our Twitter, and, you know, We did hit a couple of them. We did hit Fields 25.5 rushing yards, with Moran having 25 points scored. That was the one. That was the one boost for today. I think that ended up hitting in the first half, so that was good. A couple other ones we hit, but I'm not going to go into every single one. You can see it on my Twitter. I post all the bets that I've taken at Best Bets with Ryan on Twitter. The handle is acpoker0271. Also, please, if you could subscribe, share, make a comment, let me know what you think, and that'll wrap it up for today. So, see you in the next one.